Yeah, yeah, yeah. Roll up the green, hit the links with RGB. Pitch, putt, and puff, it's our podcast scene. Talking Burton bogeys, hole in one dream. Golf cart cruising, we're the illest team. Pitch, putt, and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's our stuff. Got my clubs in the trunk, blunt in the front. Tee off in the noon, cause we don't bunt. Discuss in the course, weed strains for lunch. Straight shooters on the greens, not a front. Pitch, put and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's our stuff. Smoking aces, laces tied tight. With a puff we fly, elevate the night. Golf ball soaring, higher than a kite. Fairway to heaven, shining real bright. Pitch, foot and puff, light it up, hit the rough. Every swing's a story, we can't get enough. Hazards and hard times, we know it's tough, but we live for the game, fam, that's our stuff.
And we're back here on the Pitch, Putt, and Puff. My name is Roger, aka RGB. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Before we get rolling, though, we're going to give a shout out to a few sponsors, starting off with Athletic, ATHLETHC.com. Go check them out. They got the 2 milligram mints. I highly recommend the variety pack, as I have here. Go check these guys out. They have the power, the flow, and the rebound. This is the best here because you can find the one that best suits you with the variety pack, power, the flow, and the rebound. So go check them out. Athletic, ATHLETHC.com. Promo code Puff will get you a special discount at checkout. Also, you guys go check out Mulligan Wear. My guy John over at Mulligan Wear _ on Instagram. Here's his dad hat for the Masters with the lawn chair. Go check that out. He's got a bunch of stuff over there. I just wore the polo today, the camouflage one. Mulligan Wear _ on Instagram. Click the link in the bio. It'll take you right to the site. Go check them out over there. Use promo code PUFF10 to save yourself 10% at checkout. Take advantage of some really great quality items for a great low cost. So go check them out at Mulligan Wear _ on Instagram. Link in the bio. Take you to the site PUFF10 to save yourself 10% at checkout. And we got the guys over at Back9 Botanicals, back9botanicals.com. Use promo code TPUFF10. TPUFF10 will save you 10% at checkout. That promo code is now available on the merchandise as well. So if you're looking for some hats, definitely on their CBD, their gummies, their Birdie Boost, the Tea Time Sunrise, the Moonlight Mulligan, which is my favorite with the CBN grid. It's great to take before bed, looking for a good night's sleep. So go check them out, back9botanicals.com. Promo code TPUFF10 to save yourself 10% at checkout. And then we got the guy Marty, Trouble Off the Tee. Go check him out, troubleoffthetee.com. Use promo code PUFF20 and save yourself 20% over there. Fresh line of hats. He's got Never Lay Up, Camel Chasing, Scratch Golfer, I'll Go Alone, Golf of America, and much more. Go check them out, troubleoffthetee.com. Promo code PUFF20. Make sure you take a listen to the audio book as well. Available on Spotify and Audible. Now I want to give a quick shout out to a more recent guest we had on. My guys over at Flowers. These guys were super dope guests. Had a great time with them. There's a nice note on here about their time on the podcast, so I appreciate that. They hooked me up with some stickers, a coaster, some seeds for wildflower seeds, and as well as the variety pack. So I'm actually headed to the beach this weekend, and these are going to come in very handy. Really excited to try these. Going to get these in the hands of the boys out on the golf course as well. So shout out to the guys over at Flowers Cocktails. Go check them out. Flowers Beverage Co. on Instagram. Hopefully we'll be working up a partnership with them very soon. So thanks again from Flowers. Going to take a quick break here. Going to go local with our man Solomon, local cultivator. Been in the game, the local game for quite some time. So we're going to get his story just here in a second. Take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back here on the Pitch, Putt, and Puff, taking it a little local here. We're going to get some local cultivating conversation going with our man Hansoloman. What's up, buddy? Thanks for jumping on.
Thanks for having me.
Nah, man, dope. I've been meaning to get you on for about a year now. Literally, we talked about it a while back. Things came up. I got busy. You got busy. You've been doing your thing in the cultivating side of things. That's for sure. But let's start off, man. I want to hear a little bit about you and how your whole cannabis journey even began. Let's start there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with saying, like, before I hit the age of 18, I did not smoke whatsoever. I took a lot of medication when I was younger, but I watched a lot of my friends. They were smoking, they were doing a lot of stupid shit all the time. They would go in cabinets, like tear up the fridge, and I'm just like, I don't want to be like that, right? Like that stereotypical stoner.
Munchies, yep.
Yeah. So I actually ended up getting in construction early 20s. Met a buddy of mine who we've been friends about 10 years now. Ended up doing his bathroom. The guy was growing weed out of his basement, and it just kind of turned into an opportunity. I'm a sucker for science, and
Yeah.
like anything that I can learn, I'm cool with. But like, it was cool because it wasn't a thing really then. Like first of all, nobody was telling anyone if they were growing. Nobody knew about it. So,
Yep. I knew like 2 growers like until about 5 years ago. Like I knew like 2 people actually like were growers.
Yeah, and then you never know. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, I grow," and they'd be like, "Okay, cool." And then you find out they've been like gorilla growing in the woods for 10 plus years, and you're just like, "Oh shit!" Like you were deep in that. But yeah, so like I started a little bit with him, just kind of getting to know the plant, running a bunch of hydro tables. Nothing crazy, a lot of HPS, really high pressure sodium lights, at like an 8-foot basement. So like imagine growing these plants, right? You know how big they're growing. So 4-foot tables, and then the plants are set on top of those. You only got 8 foot. So
yeah,
I don't even know what the hell we were doing that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I got sick of construction, man. I was running maintenance for, 300 plus units, 24-hour on call for absolute dirt money. It was backbreaking shit. So eventually I had enough, and weed was literally the med market was just starting to pop off with a couple of the bigger brands out there. So I threw my hat in. I was like, fuck it, where's Indeed at? And I searched Indeed, and I'm like, they won't have anything. And as soon as I type in cannabis, there's a couple companies popping up. And honestly, that was pretty much the start of the journey. I found a job. I got a little online certificate. Basically, like it was supposed to be like a 6-month training course, but I actually ended up doing it in like 6 weeks while I was installing dishwashers and shit. I had like 64 dishwashers to install in like a week. So I was just like, I'm just going to listen to these videos and get to the test material later. And then, once I got into it, that was it.
That's what I was going to say. So like once you got into it, how long into like once you were helping that guy with his bathroom, was that like when you started smoking?
Nah, so the smoking started earlier. I'm actually originally from Massachusetts. And so when I moved out to New York, which was when I was 18, I didn't have access to my medication. I didn't have access to, the doctors and everybody I would need. And I certainly didn't have time, right? Like I moved out here, not a dollar in my pocket. I got to hustle. I got to find school. I got to find, this, that, the third. But there was this, I had met along the way, this little old guy, probably like easily 50-year-old Italian guy, really short. And, he got me smoking. He's like, yeah, here, man. Every time he smokes, he'd like try to pass me the joint. And for a while I was like, nah. And then eventually, like, I don't know, maybe just built up a little bit more tolerance to it, to where I really understood like how it was working for me. And that was really what did it for me, when I realized that I was able to help my mental state, first off by being a bit more self-aware and becoming more self-conscious, but also, just to smoke, not to get stoned, but just to help with daily activities. Going out in public was not my thing.
Anxiety, yep.
Yeah, you weren't going to catch me in a crowd of 300 people or going to a concert. You were going to catch me with headphones in, chilling in a corner, So once I realized how much it was actually helping me, that was pretty much when I started, and I really haven't stopped.
And it's crazy, dude. People don't realize how much of a medicine it is. Like even like all different types. Like I use it today. Like so, my shoulders bother me a little bit. I play golf 5 days a week. I work physical labor. Like my body, I'm 40. You got to be 42 years old. My body takes a beat. I've been playing sports my whole life. So I'm like, damn, my shoulders hurting. I left my CBD cream in the car that I usually throw on there.
Mm-hmm.
First two holes, man, I'm playing like shit. Like I can feel like I'm trying to change my swing to alter to not have pain in my swing. I
Yeah.
was like, fuck it. I fired one up on the third hole. From that point on, I had a pretty good, like I had a one or two shitty holes, but I had a pretty good day hitting the ball because the pain went away and I stopped thinking about it. Like just
Right.
like the medicine of it, like it literally helped me with my pain. Like I don't know if it brought the inflammation down or whatever
Mm-hmm.
the case may be, but it didn't hurt anymore. If I
Right.
didn't smoke, I could have popped an Advil or a Tylenol or whatever, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do that shit. I think I'd
Yeah.
rather take a gummy or smoke a joint or whatever the case may be.
And you know, to your point on like especially like the Advils, the Tylenol. So, you know, me being I was on medication for so many years. So like, and then once I started getting like I had a knee surgery when I was 12. They took cartilage out of my knee. You know, I had tore an Achilles from a skateboarding incident, you
Oh,
know, at one point. And these doctors are like, yo, here, have some Percocet. And
yep.
man, I took one of those. I was floored for like 3 days. I was nauseous. And I
Same.
was just like, I will never, never touch one of these fucking things again.
Mhm.
You know, and then I looked to some of my, you know, my closer social group and, you know, people that are no longer with us that have actually become addicted to all of those pills because they were suffering or they were dealing with something else and they weren't even intentionally taking them, right? Like these
Yeah.
doctors were just like, here, especially like early 2000s, late 90s, everyone was just like, here's a script, here's 30K for me, here's a script, here's 30K for me. So
And it
like,
got worse. Yeah, it got
yeah,
worse as the years went on, and we've seen it with the whole opioid epidemic.
yeah,
And same thing, man. I lost too many homies to that shit too, just because it all like same thing. It started with an injury. I even see it too, like with some older folks who have an injury, and they
hmm,
go, and then it's time to get off the perks or the hydros or the oxys or whatever the fuck
right,
they prescribe, and they're having a tough time with it. Like, oh
right,
man, like I don't want to. Like it's crazy to see that. Like I had some dental work done, and they gave me a prescription. I was literally like, I'm not even going to fill this. Like I'm good. Like I don't even need them. Like I'll get through the
hmm,
pain. Like I will figure it out. I've been in worse pain than this. I'll figure it
yeah.
out.
And that's the difference, right, between like cannabis and CBD and then all the other shit they're pumping you with is like when you smoke, right, you can still feel that pain, you can still feel a little bit of that ache. So you're taking it easy on your body. When they feed you morphine and all this other stuff, you're not necessarily feeling that. So you're working through and you're pushing your body harder than you're supposed to. So where's your healing time? You know,
Right.
where's your actual rest and relaxation? When you
Yep.
smoke a joint, you're taking a few minutes, but like you're still going to be conscious as to, all right, my shoulder's still a little fucked up. I got to like
Mhm.
chill or I got to stretch it out. And yeah, I mean, and honestly, like who doesn't feel better after the
Right.
fact?
And recovery, I mean, look at it like NBA guys, for example. They're starting to realize how important recovery is, as much as I think it's like wimpy because I was the type of guy old school who played every single day, but they
Yeah.
sit out a couple games. When you got 4 games in a week, you sit out one of them. You
Listen,
know,
man,
you're going
I
to need
love
it for the long stretch.
yeah. I can agree with all of that, but I also agree they shouldn't be getting paid as much as they fucking do. Unfortunately, I don't find it entertaining enough to watch these guys sit and make
It's so
millions. Like
crazy how much
because
money those guys make.
there's also the fact, like, right, I believe in like the love of the game. You
Mm-hmm.
know, have a lot of these people, for instance, skateboarding, right? They're out there and they're throwing themselves down sets of stairs day in and day out, and not just once, twice, hundreds of times, all the time, breaking things, shattering things, and very rarely are you hearing any of them like complaining.
Right.
You know, right? Like
And
these
they're not
people
making
break
a
their arm and
quarter of
get
the
back
money.
on board. Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, like, yeah, to the
It-
point, you need rest, but those guys have so many
uh,
options to like, you
Absolutely.
know,
And they have the doctors and shit behind them.
but
That's actually
but let
why
them
I'm,
smoke weed.
yeah, they do now. The NBA, they don't test for cannabis
Do
anymore.
they? That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I don't know about the NFL, but they shouldn't. So I'm actually a college football fan because of exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Because the guys are still busting their ass trying to go get that big paycheck.
Oh yeah.
But now college players are getting paid. So are we going to start to see them decline in performance and giving a fuck and
Right.
all that shit? So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Um, it's gonna be interesting also to see what happens here in the next, I'd say even couple months here in the New York cannabis market in general. So what do you think of with the whole legalization in New York over the past few years? What's your experience been like?
My experience has literally been waiting. Yeah, December Q, 2 years ago now, right? So it's been a wait. I think there's been a lot of missteps, obviously, from day one. Like everybody knew that there was going to be missteps, without a doubt. We took a lot of reform from California. We've taken a lot of reform from Massachusetts, kind of mashed them all together and said, okay, now we're going to make it like our New York market. So the things I do like is the fact that they did go with, these SEE applications, the social equities and things of that nature. But now if you see there's right now, as you speak, there's that turnaround and all these laws that they were like, yeah, you can do all this, but there's a lot of people that are affected that were SEE applicants and that were, jailed for, possession of marijuana, all these things. Like, we made that promise. And then on the flip side, you do have the fact that, like, anybody on the opposite end that doesn't really want it could just be like, well, that's discriminatory, right? Because I didn't go to jail for that. Now I don't get my license. And it's just like, there's just so much not you're right. Like, so, okay, knowledge wise in general, the OCM, I don't know them personally, but I know the originals were not people that were involved in the cannabis industry, right? Because how could they have been? It's not legal. So it's like, how do you create a system to govern something that is run by people without that knowledge? And I mean, we see that in a lot of places throughout our everyday life. But the rollout slow, which is to me an okay thing, just because if you look at California, they obviously oversaturated their market within like 10 years. Massachusetts saturated their market easily within 5 years. And that is not something like New York State's big, but for instance, the downstate is clearly oversaturated at this point, at least in a very general area. And it's because we're not spreading out. Like, there's not a lot of upstate places that are actually pushing stuff, and it's just a mess. The whole thing's a mess. I'm hoping they're trying to clean it up, but like, in order to clean it up, you got to make a bigger mess. And there's, the legal fees. Like, these guys are facing lawsuits left and right. How can you move if you're having to battle every day in court all the time?
Right. And then you got these pop-ups just jumping up, getting shut down at 8 a.m., but by noon they're back up and running. That's just killing the markets down there too. There's 3 of those a block down there.
But that's literally, half of that stuff is no different than your typical bodega, right? Like, all your corner stores will be running like that at one point or another. This guy's here. Okay, they got shut down because they sold to a minor or something. Okay, now their cousin's in here and they now own the business, right? So it's like, it's gonna happen, and again, how do you regulate all of that, right? There was a lot of, hey, look over here going on, between the MSOs that are like, hey, shut down the black market because they're absolutely destroying our ability to earn, when in fact they were the ones who are also pulling in flour and product from other places, not testing things, like literally operating like the black market at its finest. And I think that's a bigger issue than anything that the OCM is doing right now.
Yeah, dude, that's the craziness too, is like, when you see, like, I've seen a lot of videos people have been posting, a couple of I Smoke New York podcast. They had a big conversation about the mold issue in the New York cannabis. Just like the allowance of how much they allow is an issue, and just the fact that there's so much mold in the cannabis is fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, right? Mold is the thing. No matter what, unfortunately, even if it's not necessarily growing a ton of it to where it's visible, it can still be present. I have seen the issue a lot more with the much larger companies, and a lot of it comes down to overpacked indoor cultivation, right? These guys are packing thousands of plants at maybe a quarter square foot, half a square foot per plant, and expecting it to run, but their HVAC systems aren't operating properly. And what do you do with it? Like a home grower, if you're cultivating at home, you're going to have less issue throwing out a plant or two to save the rest of your crop. Whereas, the corporate side it's the money. And that's going to drive it. The mold is definitely something I've seen personally, to the point where I've actually had to really speak to the people in charge about it and question whether or not they were actually okay with it. And ultimately, it's not even those guys' decision, right? Like, you have the guys who are cultivating all this flower, and then you have the guys who are telling them what to do, even though they've never grown a flower in their life. And then you guys got the guys with the money who all they care about is the money. So they say, all right, well, what can you do with it?
Yeah.
The remediation process, a lot of the public is coming out to know a lot about that because of Massachusetts and some of their lawsuits and stuff. But people are throwing weed in basically an oversized microwave. We're not calling it, it's not radiated. This is no actual radiation. But ultimately it goes in this machine that smells like hot metal when you open it up, and the bud changes, the color changes, the flavor changes. And that all that does is kill all the mold. So that kills the mold spores. So even if you'll never see the visible mold. You should never see visible mold because these machines don't remove that. But ultimately there are ways now that people are just scooting by.
So you're smoking bud that went through a radiation, though.
Yeah, but I mean, the company doesn't claims that it's not radiation, it's irradiation. But there is gamma rays involved. I'm not any type of physicist or scientist to understand completely, but I know what I see when it comes out of the machine. I know how it smelled. It almost felt like it was just decarbing. Yeah, it's wild stuff.
This would be a great topic for my conspiracy podcast.
Nah, we don't want to go conspiracies. That'll be like a 3-hour special.
We'll get you on there. Shit. No, man, that's crazy. So the cultivating started for you pretty much right when you got to this was in New York. It's pretty much as soon as you got to New York, the cultivating started. All right, so what was your grow setup? Was it an indoor, outdoor, greenhouse? What did you have going on for your first setup?
So my first setup was a bunch of just a couple rooms in a basement with a bunch of hydro tables. So I was running, I think, probably about 8 or 10 4 foot by 4 foot by 2 foot, I think they were, or 4 foot by 8 foot beds. 8 plants each, so 1 square foot per plant. Grow blocks, which now I will absolutely never use again. The rock wool, it's just bad for the environment. It's a lot of waste. It's a lot of money for no reason. But so yeah, it was just a ton of plants and some hydro tables with like 15 high pressure sodium lights that were, I got a tan down there in the summer. And then at the same time, when I started with all of that, I also had 2 in my closet with a really janky light, no circulation, and kind of learning how to fuck up every which way I can.
Right. That's how you learn, though. Fuck.
Yeah.
Now, how did you go through selecting your strain process and seeds, clones? How'd you go about it?
Honestly, I didn't. So my partner, the guy who got me into it, he was kind of securing a lot of stuff. He knew some people that grew some things here and there. So he'd pick up a few strains. The first one he had was blue cheese. I don't know if you remember that one.
Oh yeah.
Being around. So we did blue cheese for a long time. That was a really solid strain. And then I think probably about 4-ish years into it, we got into a much bigger setup, and I was doing a lot more because I was obviously involved in the production side of things. So I've seen how it was done on the inside essentially. And I started reading a whole lot more, watching all the videos I could watch, anything I could learn. So eventually I just started getting into my own stuff. Excuse me, sir. Knock it off. But sorry about that. That's my dog. Yeah, so he just picked up a bunch of stuff randomly. Whoever came through, he's like, "Hey, my buddy got this Cinderella 99." We actually had one called Glass Slipper, which was a Cindy 99 crossed with like a Dutch chocolate or something like that.
Oh, shit.
And yeah, it was, the bud itself was almost like brown, but like a nice chocolate brown. So it looked like a nice Thai strain. And it was just creamy, chocolatey. And this was Cindy 99 was a big one, 8 years ago, right? Like it's
I forgot all about it until you just
Yeah.
said it, really.
Yeah, I got beans waiting to be popped and have something done with those too.
Jeez.
But yeah, he did all the picking and got what he got. And honestly, I wish, we were actually just talking about the other day, we wish we had any of those strains that we were doing, at that time, because now they would be even better.
They'd be such fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. How did you guys handle the environmental controls, like the temperature, humidity, airflow? Did you do like just the tent setups and do it?
Yeah, so a lot, like right now I'm in tents. When I was doing the much larger scale, it was full open rooms. The largest scale I think was probably, I want to say I had about 100 plants in flower and probably about 200 in veg, with another 100 or so cloning pretty much at all times. So it was a continuous, I was pulling, probably 8 pounds a month, 2 pounds a week on a weekly rotation. So, but we ran, dehumidifiers, we had air conditioners running. I mean, we were probably looking at easily about a $1,500 electric bill at the time. I'll just put it that way. And that was probably with the best case scenario environment that we've been able to do. Right now, I actually handle a lot of my issues with, fans, but plants actually. Moisture and humidity, you can kind of control that a lot by how many plants you actually have in the room, because your leaves will perspire. So like if you don't have a lot of humidity, easy thing, you can just put a pot in there, the heat's going to do its thing, and then that water is going to evaporate, bring that up. But my plant count makes a difference, and how often everything gets watered. So that changes a whole lot when it comes down to it. But
you have to kind of figure that out as you go and find the right time, like know what you're doing in order to even recognize that,
right. Yeah, and like that's the thing, is like I learned how to grow and cultivate on a budget, as a person at home who works a job and makes the regular amount of money like everybody else. So like you don't get access necessarily to all the AC Infinity equipment that's like, I'm still hand watering, I'm still checking my fans, and if I got to change the spectrum on a light, like I have OG timers that are just you push the button in and you spin it around to what time it is, and that's what runs. So you got to learn how to control the best way you can, whether it's leaving a door open, leaving an extra fan. The issue with tents is not only are you having to control inside of the tent, you have to control whatever room is out the tents are in. Right? Because if you're battling 100 degrees out here, then your tents are going to be over 100 degrees because they're closed with the lights off, and it's 100 degrees out here. So like it's a lot. There's a lot of.
I want to try tents. I think I'm gonna. I was talking to Evan. I was over at the helium facility, which is like that's the other thing when you see like you get to see what you do, like now legally you see these things, you see the setup, you can see what Evan's doing over there, helium. Like it's super cool to like walk in and be like, bro, like, all right, this is the drying station, this is the hanging around. Like this is just super cool that we can do this now. And there's no like it's all legit. Like I never thought in my lifetime, honestly, we'd be able to say that. I truly did not, and it seemed like it happened so fast. So, and like, I'm hoping that it gets all figured out and continues to grow in the right direction. But hopefully you can get up and running sooner than later with all this waiting list bullshit. And you see it too. Man. You see so many people I talk to on here are just
waiting. And the thing is too is like, I'll say on my part, my buddy was smart. I get kind of smart at the time is we didn't actually look into locations or try to secure a location. So we're not sitting on a lease or any, actual debt other than we put in a non-refundable application fee. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like it was wise because people are lost a whole bunch of money sitting on places that they can no longer use. But for us now, they're actually, when they go through these queues, they're going to be like, all right, who has a place secured? So now, we're not necessarily going to be in that same position.
That's what I was just going to ask. Because they're going, no, that's kind of, in a way, they're doing it backwards because now they're like, okay, who has the place? Meanwhile, you made these people sit for 2, 3, 4, 5 years,
Right.
waiting, spending all this money, paying
Mm-hmm.
thousands of dollars in rent. Because obviously, all these dispensaries are just grow facilities or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They're pretty big square footage units in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere in New York State, the taxes, the rent you're going to pay is
Yeah.
going to be
And
hefty.
at the beginning, once people knew it was legal and once they knew you were going to do a dispensary or you were going to grow, you were paying 2-3 times more than the average tenant would have.
Now, how does it work too? Like when I see some owners have like multiple dispensaries. Is it easier for them because they already have a license to branch off and get another one, or how's that working?
I can't honestly speak to that. I would assume that that's the case, because like if you're profitable as a dispensary, then there's no reason. It's just like having a franchise of stores, right? Like
Right.
we need, no matter what they do, there's going to be a need for distributors and people to have that storefront face. So like the way it's set up is that we can have, we'll have our cultivators, and a lot of these cultivators are going to do a bunch of wholesale stuff. They'll do some white labeling, yada, yada, but they're not going to be able to open their own dispensary, at least in their name, right? So there's obviously some legal loopholes that can get you in, a little bit of everything, honestly, if you wanted a piece. But ultimately, if you're a dispensary owner and that's all you're doing, and I don't like not a micro, if you're a dispensary only, open up the stores. Because especially like once we start to grow all this other stuff and there's more people coming in, you could be looking at more regional sales of different types of products that are to that region per se.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think anyone who has a license, right, just like the hemp license, anyone that had a hemp license was easily able to make that transition.
Yep.
I'm noticing a trend in people that deal in liquor. A lot of people in the alcohol business have that ability to transition. So I think once you're in, right, like getting in is the hardest part, and the longer you have to wait, the harder it's going to be. Because like you have to network your ass off. Even now you have to do it. But once you're in, you kind of grew that network, and everyone in that network is also growing because we're expanding so rapidly, right?
Right.
So I'd say, yeah, ultimately to answer the real question is, yeah, I'd say it's probably easier to open a new dispensary as long as you're a profitable one.
Right.
Obviously, it doesn't make sense to open one if you're not making money.
If you're not there, exactly. Man, so what's your favorite strain to grow and why?
Favorite strain to grow?
Yep.
Shit. There's been so many. It really is tough to say what my favorite strain to grow was, because like I'm still going. Like I will say my most recent one actually comes from a guy out in Massachusetts, Dank Flow Genetics. Monty Gluthon. I think I gave you some of that a while back.
Okay.
But that strain was just a dream. She grew 6 foot tall, 7 foot, and a little indoor tent. The buds were always nice and dense, burnt orange peel kind of flavor to it. So it's got that nice pungent orange smell, but it followed up with the earth. And honestly, just a really easy plant to work with. I've been doing a lot of sativa strains, a lot of these really long running 12, 15 week stuff. So those are challenging. So I can't say that they're my favorite because they're pains in the asses all day. But risk to reward.
Right. Huh. I remember I did get a couple last year. We had the one last, I guess, yeah, it was last golf season when we linked up. I had a couple samples and I was like, this is some like home, like being grown by someone like I actually know is probably the top bud I had. 20 years at that point of smoking, because I was the same, man. I didn't get into the cannabis thing until I was like out of high school, really,
Right.
my 20s, because I was playing sports and everything else. But then once I did, I never looked back.
Right.
I never looked back. But shit, man, that's dope. Let's see here. How do you let's see. What is there any up and coming strands we should watch out for in the next year or so from you?
From me, man, to be honest with you, it's really a matter of time. I'd love to say I'd have more in the next year. I'm working on my F1s with the Solomon Haze, so those are full on Solomon Haze. So I took the male and the female, and we did the thing. Right now, that one is the trickiest of the 7 that I have. So I did do a nice breeding run with just the Solomon Haze, but I also have I'm waiting to pop the beans is strawberry. I did a strawberry cheesecake and an amnesia haze, so it's going to be a strawberry amnesia. That's probably one of my favorites, like low key on the market, as far as like you'll see it a lot in the outdoor buds and the people who are growing greenhouse and stuff we're doing strawberry amnesia. It just smacks, honestly. So that one I'm hoping to be able to get going soon. But it's tough to breed and propagate. It's damn near impossible, right? Nobody wants seeds in their stuff. And if my flower tent here that's breeding is 2 tents away from the other one, there can be a lot of issues. So I have to be very cautious and timing of what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, especially with ones that are pushing 15 weeks in flower. That leaves a lot of room for error.
So even if they're a couple tents away, like I thought if they were in even separate tents, it'd be safe, but because they're even 2 tents away, you can still deal with the cross contamination.
Yeah. So, and the contamination happens different. So, like, obviously, if you're outdoor and someone's popping male plants and that pollen blows, like, this is outdoor. That shit will go for a few miles. It might drift off. It may not, it may not catch. But when you're indoors and you're 2 tents away, fans are blowing, even though, these tents aren't necessarily fully sealed environments. You have to have, your vents are coming through, yada, yada. So there's always potential there, but also the biggest potential in any contamination when it comes to plants is going from one plant to another plant, right? So if I'm over here and I'm touching all these plants and I'm getting all this pollen on my hands, and then I go to my other tent and I start messing around, I start rubbing some of these nodes, there's a chance. The chance might be smaller, but the one thing I did learn over time is timing is the biggest factor. So just, I won't go in super detail, but basically, if I have a 8-week flowering plant and I want to breed that, so once the males are going to go within 2 to 3 weeks, they'll start popping pollen. The females will be ready about, by week 3, they start, pulling the pistils. So they're going to start doing their breeding dance, right? But if I have another tent that is an 8-week flower, and that is in week 6 of flower, right? So I only got 2 weeks left. These are already matured enough to the point where they're again, not impossible, but far less likely to be able to be pollinated by those other plants, because they're already to a point where they're just not going to produce. Even if they produce like a little bit, like a white seed here and there, it's not going to be detrimental enough to the plant itself. So timing.
Once you got into this growth thing, you went all the way in, you started researching, you started watching YouTube videos. I could see you reading. You went all in, bro, just because of the knowledge you have of this and having previous conversations with you, man. I can see how passionate you are about what you do, getting your hand. Who would have ever thought, man, playing in the mud? You know what I mean? Something you did as a kid, you'd be passionate about as an adult.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. Absolutely nuts. So how do you decide the perfect time to harvest? Like, how do you know when like the cycle's good and the plants are ready?
I watch them. I don't go under the microscope. I'm still a very, I'm kind of in between the old school and the new school cultivators, right? So I know the information. I like a lot of the old techniques. I watch for the hairs, you know. I watch for what they call senescing. So that's when the plant the colors are all coming out of the leaves, right? The chlorophyll's gone, the leaves are turning yellows, purples. So that's how you know the plant's coming towards the end of its cycle. And then at that point, you're going based on the trichome color, which you can do that if you're going under a microscope. I go by, does it have 90% orange hairs? Cool. What is it looking like? But it's also, what does the plant look like at this time, right? Sometimes you're going to need to harvest your plants early. You know, if you have some sort of infection, if you got something screwing up your leaves are too moist and then they cause, you know, a little bit of bud rot. So that's another thing to consider. But when I'm looking for like my perfect bud, I'm looking at least, you know, 90% red hairs. Most of those white hairs are gone. And currently all of my strains have purple in them. So I'm looking for some of those deeper purples to start coming out before I take it down.
Nice. Purple. I love purple. Some people, I have one buddy who's like, he just doesn't like purple. And I'm like, bro, you're crazy. Like, I love purple. And I know what I like too. Speaking of purple haze, you have your Solomon haze, and you just mentioned another, the amnesia, strawberry amnesia haze. I like how you're trying to keep the haze alive, man, because it's slowly like fading away, man. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I'm gonna be honest, man. So, you know, I obviously, you know, I'm a bud tender down at 400 River, down in Troy. So my first few months there, everybody was coming in. Oh, you guys got anything haze? You got anything haze? And the market wants it. And it's a demographic thing too. Like haze was available to everybody in this area. Everybody smoked haze
and sour, haze and sour.
And the thing is, like, and anybody who knows and smokes haze, and haze has a very distinct smoke, right? These aren't necessarily always light and airy buds, but when you're smoking it, it's like you're not smoking anything at all. And then they fucking hit you, you know? And that's like, they just come with something different. But the issue is they take a while to flower. It's not really a marketable product unless you're pushing out a ton of flower and you can allow that 10, 12, 13, 15 week flowers to get there.
Right. Yeah, so you're waiting like 20 weeks after the drying process and everything.
Dude, I kid you not, the plants I have sitting in flower right now I popped those seeds end of January.
Ooh. And
I still have probably a solid week on the ones I got in there right now.
Damn. So last question before we get into the 3 questions. Yeah. What would be some advice you'd give someone starting their first grow after all the shit you've been through and what you've learned? What's some simple advice you give someone?
First thing, buy a book. Easiest book, it's the Marijuana Grow Bible. It's an old school book, so a lot of it is pretty outdated compared to now. But it's the easiest breakdown of every basic that you need to understand to actually grow. That was the first book I had. That was the first book, you know, most of the people I know have had. And then there's tons of other ones. Buy a book. And then the other biggest thing, or I'll say the 2 other biggest things, is just because one person says that's how it has to be done is not the case when it comes to weed, right? You've been around, you've understood, you've heard a lot of people talk. Nobody cultivates the same exact way. Nobody uses the same exact nutrients. And even if they do, they're probably not using them the same way. They're not training everything. So keep in mind the variability in your plants, your genetics, you know, your environment. And that's the biggest thing. Learn from every person who's grown a pot plant, whether good or bad, because like it's an ongoing lesson. We're still learning about it. And then,
the more you mess up, the more you learn, man.
Yeah. You can't learn from just reading. Like you can learn from reading, but experience is really what it is. And knowing that every plant is going to behave differently. Not each one is the same. So it's always a learning curve no matter what. And then the last thing is, if you just put it in flower 2 days ago, it's not ready to cut down.
Right.
You know, just patience.
Patience. Let it sit. Yep. And pay attention to it. Dope, man. Well, dude, let's get into the 3 questions. We'll wrap this up here. I don't want to take up too much of your time here.
Yeah, no worries.
We'll start off. If you're on an island and you're stranded there by yourself, you can only bring 1 strain of weed with you. What are you taking with you?
If I'm on an island, what island though? Like, are we talking temperate zone? Or are we talking like
Gilligan's? Gilligan's, bro. You're there by yourself though, like Castaway, and you can only have 1 strain. You can, in your situation, you'll probably clone it and grow it yourself forever. So what are you gonna have?
That's a valid, that you say that, and then it gets into a more detailed thought. Well, depending on the area, now, I could honestly, I could smoke Blue Dream and hazes every day, all the time. Blue Dream would probably be a go-to if it wasn't one of the ones I cultivated. I'd say that was the one.
Blue Dream's always fire. Anytime you get some real like legit Blue Dream, like a lot. That's the only thing too with some of these brands, man. They slap the name on there like Purple Haze and Blue Dream and this and that, and it's like, no, it's not. It's not even close to that.
So, like, unfortunately, there's the factor of phenotypes when we're talking about the people who pumped out 500,000 beans of this one cut. Not all of them are going to be the same, and nobody's going to necessarily cultivate them the same. But you do know when a gelato is a gelato, and when a Blue Dream is a Blue Dream. You know that New York Sour Diesel before you even get it out of the bag. So like you're absolutely right, but I will defend and say that there are chances that they're getting it, and it's just really shitty genetics in comparison to what we had.
Yeah, I guess. Shit, man. I got a Purple Haze one time. I won't mention the brand. And I was like, man, this is nowhere near the Purple Haze that I was so disappointed.
I haven't seen Purple Haze. I don't think I would believe it if I saw it on the market either. To be that was one of the ones I was smoking in the sand dunes when I was 16. You know what I mean? Like one of my first smokes out of a tin can. Does it exist? Does it exist? I'm sure it does, but I don't see it on the market. And I don't know who had it, but I don't know. I'd be interested to try it for sure.
It was I'll tell you when we get done recording, I'll tell you all about it. I don't want to put anybody on blast. Next question is, what's your preference of smoke? You have bongs, bowls, joints, blunts. What's your preference?
It all depends on what I'm doing. Start my day with a dab, and then I hit a joint, and it's pretty much joints for the day. If I'm doing a bedtime routine where I absolutely need to knock out, I'm loading up a dab so that can load in, and then I'm rolling my joint while that sits, and I had already eaten a gummy. It's just kind of I'm a multi-platform all day. So like really depends on what I'm trying to do and how functional I have to be.
It's so funny, dude. We were just, me and my buddy were at golf the other day. We were talking about that because we've been dabbling with some edibles and stuff lately, and like the dips and all the drink mixes and all that stuff. And to be able to, like, on the golf course side of things, you want to be able to balance it out to where you can still play golf at a serious competitive level, because we're playing for cash out there. But you want to have a good time as well. And my one buddy hasn't taken edibles for a while. And kind of took like a tea break, a little THC break. And like he didn't like quit, but he just cut back quite a bit. He did like a 40 milligram gummy, a 25 milligram Jolly Rancher, a 10 milligram drink, a toothpick, and then a 10 milligram like dip pouch. And he was cooked, bro. He goes, "Yo, Raj." He looks up at me and he just starts giggling like we were 15 again. I'm like, "Yo, bro, get your shit together, hit the ball, let's go to the next hole." Like, he had a tough day that day, but it was definitely he enjoyed himself out there. But like, you get to that level, it's too much. But if you can find it to where I played that same day, I played my best round of the year, and I didn't do nearly as much as he did. I had like a dip and a gummy or whatever, so I was good throughout the day, like a 50 milligrams over 4 hours. So like, I was good.
Was that amount something he was eating before, like he went for his tea break?
No, because he wasn't a big, really a big edible guy. And then it was one of those things like where I got the samples to give to the guys, and it was like I was playing. I was like, "You want to try one?"
Yep.
And then like everybody, like I offered one to everybody, and there was like an extra. And I was like, "You want one?" He said, "I'll take it." So he took the Jolly Rancher. I said, it was like one of those take a Jolly Rancher or a gummy kind of thing. And it was an extra Jolly Rancher. So he took the Jolly Rancher. I didn't mean like take it right now. You could take it like later when you're chilling watching a movie with your girl or something, you know?
Yeah.
But he's just like, boom. And then I was like, shit, man, you want to? I had one of the pouches. I tried one. I was like, you want one? He goes, sure. And then like literally half, because it was nano infused as well. So like,
yeah,
10,
I hit him
10
quick.
15 minutes later, it got to him. And he like was looking at a putt, trying to line it up. And he looked up at me and just started smiling. And I was like,
That wasn't lining up at all.
fully cooked. So
I love those stories.
Yeah, man, I got characters I'm out there on the golf course with for sure. But yeah, I'm a joint guy. I grew up smoking blunts and shit. I'll smoke my own bowl, like literally, like I don't do like community bowls. I'm just
right
sketched out. Like I don't even drink out of a glass at a restaurant. I get a straw. Like I'm just skeeved out by that. I don't know why. I've always been.
No, I think it's fair. Germs and all that other good stuff. Like it don't matter. You can know people forever. The shit happens.
Yeah, but I'll smoke a joint with you, pass it back and forth. But I just won't drink out of the glass. You know what I mean? It's weird.
All right, yeah.
So I don't know. It's a thing I do. But always a joint or a blunt for the most part.
Yep.
And then
I like the blunts when I need to do like 5-7 grams because I'll only roll a game Dutch. I will not roll anything else unless it's a game. So you're talking 5 to 7 gram commitment all day.
Yeah, because you can. I remember rolling like legit fat ass eights in those game blunts and those in Garcia Vegas. I used to be able to put a lot of stuff into.
Yep.
Man, Garcia Vegas at Cumberland Farms. When every other store was closed, you get a Garcia at Cumbies. Shout out Cumbies.
Yeah. And then you got your slushy for $1 afterwards.
Oh yeah, drink it so fast to catch the brain freeze. Yep.
All day.
Then last question, man. 3 people you would put in a smoke sesh. Who would they be?
3 people in a smoke sesh. Like they got to be alive?
Nah, anybody.
All right. Like honestly, I would love to just smoke with like any famous astronomer or like for instance, if you could smoke with Galileo.
Okay.
This motherfucker, right? Like that would be a crazy person to just be sitting with.
That's a good one, actually. I like this.
So like I would probably say him. Damn, there's just so many. There's so many people really that I'm just like, yo, we could be friends, and like I would smoke with you. And
because I think astrology it tells so many secrets. And sitting back with someone like that, we could learn so much.
Yeah, and I mean he goes on like you're that's just I mean anybody that's an astronomer or a philosopher from fucking back in the day, dying in the plague and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I think it could get a little dark, but I'm a Poe fan, so like Edgar Allan Poe, like I could just imagine like hearing the Raven, but just a lot more chilled the fuck out. Like close the Raven evermore, bro. Like some stupid shit. Like I would smoke with pretty much anybody, but I'd say those 2 would be pretty dope in a session. Right. And if I was to pick some like I don't know comedian, Mitch Hedberg. I don't know if you've ever seen any of that his comedy.
Yeah, I know Mitch. Yep.
I'm just saying that would be a great person to smoke weed with too.
Yeah, he's got a cool. I like his sense of humor too. Like he's actually, I think he was up here or is coming up here. I seen something with Hedberg coming somewhere. I want to say it might have even been the Funny Bone, but I could be wrong.
I don't know.
I'll have to look into it again because I was looking because I love comedy. I'm a big fan of stand up.
Right.
That's part of like when I do a golf tournament, I want to do like a stand up comedy event after it. Might be able to bring some people from California out here to do it. We'll see what happens.
There's there's a lot of local comedian talent too.
Oh yeah, I got tied into one of the people over in the Albany. They do stuff at like the Lark Street, the stand-ups and the open mics and stuff like that.
Right.
I've always thought about it, man. I always try to write a good solid 10 minutes to see if I could do it, but I think I'd get up on stage and just fucking get nervous. So
Yeah, there's definitely a certain technique to it. It's the nerves, but like I wouldn't want to, comedy is offensive, and we grew up in a time where comedy was really offensive.
that's what I'm saying, dude. That's
so
kind of
so
what I'm
it's
saying.
it's a whole different game. A lot of people do crowd work now, which is
It's a
good
lot of
because
it.
you it allows you to kind of be a little bit of an asshole, but also under certain contexts. And I don't know. That's not my niche.
No, that's like the Matt Rife. He found his way with the crowd
Yeah.
work. Like he kills it. Like who else is pretty good is Ari Spears does pretty good with the crowd
Yep.
work. I see a lot of his clips and stuff like that. But there's some good comedians out there for sure, man.
Yeah,
Good
and we get
comedians
a lot of decent ones, when they're trying to make comebacks or they just need a show to go on at the Funny Bone. That's a pretty dope place to go just for a little bit of comedy. But I would definitely, if you get a comedy show like a smoking comedy thing going, I'm definitely in. I will be there.
That's the plan, man. I think it would be a pretty cool little event because like I said, we don't got shit like that around here, but we can start making some shit happen.
Right.
Dude, really appreciate you jumping on, man. I'm glad we got the chance to chop it up, talk some cultivating, and young cultivators can get some advice and learn some shit. So where can they find you, bro?
You can find me on Instagram, Hansoloman _1, I think. Right? Is that proper? I always forget that. I believe it's with the _1 on there.
Hansoloman _1. Yep.
HANSOLOMON _1 on IG. And if you're a cultivator, you want to get into growing, you're just a home guy, you need some info, you want some advice, feel free to hit me up. I'm always open. And beans are coming soon.
Oh yeah. I gotta hook you up with one of my homies, man. I got a young kid who just started getting into the growing and stuff like that, and I think he could definitely benefit from talking to you and learn a lot from it. I will say he's doing a pretty good job, not knocking him at all. He's doing a pretty good job. His second year doing it. Yeah. But I think like him being so young and getting some of the knowledge that you already had, like you said, the mistakes you made and what you learned from, passing that on to the next generation, bro. And hopefully this kid comes out with some kind of haze or something crossed over crazy that we never seen before. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. The possibilities are endless at this point.
Yep. Dope,
for
man.
Sure.
Hopefully we see you out there in stores soon as well. Get that license in New York. Got to speed it up a little bit for us here, but
if it's not flour, it's going to be some other products. I can guarantee that. Once shit's together, there's still ability for hemp. There's ability for genetics. So I'm leaning really heavy on genetics lately because I think it's an easy way. Because these are technically novelty items, being seeds and everything. But there's definitely a lot of market for pushing genetics and holding genetics and things of that. So no matter what, I'm coming.
I love it. I love it, brother. Well, once again, man, appreciate your time. Go check him out, Hansoloman _1. Check us out at the Pitch Putt Puff podcast. We'll be back on Monday with another episode. I'm going to be out this weekend taking a quick trip to the cave, so we'll be back Monday with the pre-recorded episode. Appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will see you then. Peace.
Hit the links with RGB, Pitch Putt and Puff, it's our podcast theme. Talking Burton Bogies, hole in one dream. Golf cart cruising, we're the illest team. Pitch Putt and Puff.